This is the Grey Area Podcast, talking all things rap and hip-hop from the UK to across the pond. The facts are black and white, but our opinions are somewhere in the middle. We're about the music, not the gossip. Positive more than negative. Quality over quantity. Substance is worth more than clickbait. Slowthai. We got to start at the beginning to get to where we're getting to with this review, I guess. So
yeah, let's do it.
What was everyone's thoughts on Slowthai before TYRON or TYRON? I don't know how we're saying it.
Before, I thought it was TYRON, but
that's what I thought. I thought TYRON.
Yeah, TYRON.
Yeah.
So
same shit.
I've been following Slowthai since probably late 2016, early 2017. Whenever you introduced me to Tea and Biscuit, Sam.
That was one of the best finds I've ever made in my life.
He only had like a few thousand followers then as well.
Well, this is part of when I told you guys about this random search I do by different words. Literally typed in biscuits onto YouTube, onto Spotify, and then I was like, "Fuck is this?" I was like, "Damn." You know what I mean? This is bumping. And I feel like the next day, I was like, hey, you got to hear this.
Yeah, it's next level. So, yeah, I've been following him since then and just kind of, listening to the various EPs and singles and whatnot. I always thought he delivered, whether it be Jiggle or Disneyland or Ladies, any tunes like that. And then the debut album, I thought was a solid debut. Solid debut.
Nothing Great About Britain,
yeah. A lot of socio-economic, political themes and whatnot. And, I thought, okay, this is a good one to sort of, kick out of the gates with. Then the whole NME Awards thing happened, right? And I personally didn't, we'll get on to cancel culture. I didn't agree with the reception he got, but I feel like he did the right thing in just stepping back from the limelight, focusing on himself. And then as soon as this was announced, being called TYRON, I was like, okay, we're going to get something more introspective, something more personal. But as far as his sort of how I felt about him, I've always felt he's one of the best of his generation, one of the best of this new generation. And I don't know why I didn't mention that when we did the episode before.
Yeah, I feel like he got slipped under the rug. I forgot completely. But it's like, really,
I know, that's a good point.
He's so unique. Like, what he does is like no one else can really do what he does. His voice is quite scratchy. And then there's also the fact of like he's got big features on this album. And he does a lot of big features. So it makes me wonder, like, what is the machine behind him like? Because to get an ASAP Rocky feature ain't cheap. To get a Skepta feature, I assume, isn't cheap. You know what I mean? Like, all these things, I'm thinking, like, he's definitely going somewhere that we haven't quite figured out yet. We haven't quite seen that yet.
Apparently, the Rocky Connect was quite natural. I was listening to him talk in an interview.
Isn't he signed to Org?
They have is that their management?
Yeah,
or
that's
something
the
like
creative management team that
does
the visuals, but it's basically his label.
Oh, okay. Because Slowthai was saying something about how they met backstage and Rocky came up to him and was like, I fuck with your music. And then apparently Rocky came to a couple of his shows, just was in the back watching his shows. And then through that, they eventually ended up sort of like, well, he sent him a track and Rocky did a verse on it and this and that. So I think he's just, like you say, he's unique, isn't he? And I think he's caught on in America, not obviously on a mainstream level, but he's worked with a lot of artists like Denzel Curry, and I think he's got a relationship with JPEG Mafia as well. Lots of different artists. What about you, Theo? Because you got into him recently, didn't you?
Yeah, no, because literally, because it was too late for me, man. I don't know where. Yeah, that's a big L on my part, man. I just it was only recently. It's only really like the back end of 2020 that I heard his name obviously going about and I've heard people reacting to it and thought, who's Slowthai? So started listening to some stuff after you guys said more about it. And when, like you said, after I listened to Tea and Biscuits, I mean, that stuff is just blew me away. And then I just went on like a Slowthai journey. So I literally listened to absolutely everything prior to TYRON. And I just think, like you said, I think it's a shame he wasn't mentioned on the previous episode because he is unique and he is like one of the best coming out from this new school. And he's just got something about him that is just, you just gravitate towards. And it's like you said, I had to refresh my stuff on what happened at the NME Awards. And like we'll get onto that later, like you said, but I do think he took too much hard flack for that because, yeah, it's just terrible. But apart from that, the music and how he is just great. So I went on like a real journey. So I was really excited heading into this album and getting to listen to it.
For me, Tea and Biscuits is a strong entry to the game. Like, and I'm not talking about as in, oh, this is the first track that blew up. I believe this was like one of his first tracks. So at the time, being Sean were looking at him, because you know Sean loves to go and like buy music and look at it and whatever. There was only 2 tracks out, and I don't remember what the second track was, but what was the second?
Ladies.
track?
Lost Me.
Yeah.
Ladies.
No.
No.
Because Tea and Biscuits was
I need
out.
to look it up.
Tea and Biscuits was out, and then it got taken down, and I was pissed because I was like, I can't listen to it. But Sean was like, oh, I went and bought it. Like, I still can listen to it. Blah blah blah. But yeah, it was a strong entry to the game. And it was like, for me, it's the delivery, which is a big part of rapping for me. When we get onto that episode where we talk about, you know, what makes a good rapper and whatever, the delivery and the beat. Delivery was hardcore, believed what he was saying. Second of all, the fucking beat, I'd never heard a beat like that before. That beat felt like, I don't know, it made me feel panicked when I first heard it, because the way it was moving was insane. Like, I've never heard a bass, well, okay, I have heard a bass do stuff like that, but I've never heard a bass that driving, that aggressive, with someone actually riding the beat like that. Because even the main synth sounds like a fucking alarm, like a fire alarm. So it's like, the whole thing just induces panic.
Yeah, it gets the heart rate up, for sure.
Oh, definitely gets the heart rate up. I'll tell you that massively.
But then it also shows his versatility as well, because to go from something like Tea and Biscuits to Ladies now, I was thinking, is this one going to land for me? And I was like, no, it actually does. Like, and
masterpiece.
Yeah. He's like real conscious, but not in that kind of contrived way where he's trying to talk about shit he doesn't know about. He's talking about stuff that quite literally is just his own experience.
Yeah. He's like a fly on the wall, basically. It's like he's grown up in what appears to be like quite a fucked up sort of upbringing and whatnot. He's got some dark stories and dark perspectives and that, but it's not. He's not conscious in a what's the word? I'm trying to think of it. Like a snooty way,
He's not trying to fix it. Do you know what I mean when I say he's not trying to fix it? He's just observing it. He's just seeing it and go, oh, this is what's happening.
Exactly. Yeah. I'm trying to think of the word now. It's
Awareness.
Lost me. Yeah, but you know how some people it's forced, like the consciousness is forced, the whole like forced wokeness and that. He's just like pretentious. That's the word. He just experienced shit and is talking about it, and he's not trying to sugarcoat it. He's not trying to, put in some like wild vocabulary. It's just, this is what I went through.
And you get that from what when you're listening to him. It's definitely not forced. It's just what it's experiencing. It's his experiences, and he's delivering that to the music. You do not get any sort of forced vibe from that at all, which is great. So obviously that's what I mean in terms of the gravitation, really. That's what it's things like that you gravitate towards.
So naturally, leading on from what we think about him being an observer and, quote unquote conscious, I don't really care about the enemies thing, right? Because, okay, I don't know about you guys, but I know personally, normally I'm quite chill, quite relaxed, but sometimes with, whatever environment I'm in, or if with a drink in my system or something, I can get a bit leery, you know what I mean? And I feel like he's very prone to that type. Obviously, I don't know him personally, but I'm saying from what I've seen. He performs in his underpants sometimes. I mean, he seems like a very kind of all over the place, off the wall kind of guy. And
wild.
From the video I saw when it happened, he was like clearly drunk, and the woman. I don't want to say the woman, but whoever that person was, she clearly agitated him, or he agitated her. Do you know what I mean? Like there was a moment of awkwardness that on both sides could have been dealt with more professionally, but then he got to him getting like dragged off stage or something.
It got mad disrespectful though. Like he was like kicking on people's tables and stuff like that.
But didn't he? No, he lost it though, didn't he? He like threw
someone threw something at him.
Yeah, someone threw something. And then he jumped. He launched something, jumped, and then squared up to them, right to their face, and the security had to bring him back. He did lose it, but he was clearly drunk. Drunk.
Listen, he was wrong. He was wrong. Yeah, he fucked up. And I don't condone what he said, what he did, and all that. But do you know what my thing is with that situation and a lot of sort of these cancel culture moments and whatnot? That woman, Catherine Ryan, comedian, very talented, she experienced that.
Oh, the American woman or Canadian one.
Yeah, and she responded.
Canadian,
responded basically saying, her perspective and the fact that they kind of patched it up and that there was no ill feeling and this and that. So she's forgiven him. But the internet has given people this platform where and in some ways it's amazing that everyone can just say what they want in this one big room, which is the internet. But if this woman is okay with it, why are all you not? Why are you lot not okay with it? Why do you have to keep bringing it up, and why do you have to try and ruin this guy's career? Do you get what I mean? If she's cool, exactly. If she's got over it, or if she said she has, then let them sort that situation themselves. You don't have to try and like ruin the guy's career over it.
This is the thing. Cancel culture, what happens once you get cancelled, right? For example, like a Wiley now. What does he do? I know music wasn't his main form of income now. Like I'm pretty sure he owns a lot of businesses and all this kind of shit. Like if he had the right types of people around him or was smart enough. But it's like, okay, cool, he's cancelled, he can't be on social media, his music's not streaming. What do we get out of that? Not when I say what do we get out of that, the people that cancelled him were never really interested in him prior to this. Do you know what I'm trying to say? So the people that do all this cancelling, it's like they were never interested in the subject matter at hand until this moment in time, because it's now come across their political, social, whatever radar. And it's like they cancel these people, but there's extents. There's extents where it's like, okay, cool. There's these types of abuse, that types of abuse, saying these types of things and whatever. But it's like, what is the result you want? Because sometimes an apology isn't enough for these people. And bearing in mind, yes, some things you can't really apologize for, but it's like people change. People change, or people have opinions that are different to yours. Like I'm sure I have an opinion that could, piss off a whole bunch of people. Everybody in here has an opinion like that. And it's like, okay, maybe you don't, sometimes you're meant to have like the intelligence to not say that. But then what's the point in freedom of speech? Or do you know what I mean? There's a fine line between like, okay, yeah, this person should apologize and change from their actions to like, actually, no, just get this person all the way the fuck out of here.
Even like giving people the space to like learn as well, right?
Yeah.
How's he supposed to know that that's wrong for him to do if he's not gonna try it?
Because that's my point. Because it annoys me on the internet because people are acting like everyone's perfect, that you can't make a mistake. Like, I'm sorry, but everyone makes mistakes. Everyone learns from it. And slowthai's even come out and he said that, because he said that on like a podcast with Fantana, and he said it like clearly he was wrong and he understood, but he learned from it and he grows as a person, because that's what people do. People grow and learn from their mistakes. It's like on the internet now, you can't make a mistake, and you make one mistake and that's it. You're one and done. You're over, and that's it. And it shouldn't be like that, because there's many people who are not on the main stage that make countless mistakes and they learn from it. What's going to happen to them? Nothing. But because you're on a platform where the whole world can see what you do, if you make one mistake, that's it, you're cancelled. It's a load of nonsense, really. And it's too easy for people to say something. So
when you're famous, a private moment is never really a private moment if you're in the wrong company. But then also, say all four of us, one of us got drunk and decided, we went to an event or whatever, we got up on stage for whatever reason, started acting Larry. It's not going to go outside of that room. Do you know what I mean? It's really not going to go outside of that room. So whoever's in that room is going to experience it, have whatever experience they want, and probably forget about it the next day. But when you're, famous or in the public eye, even the smallest thing you could do in public could fuck up your whole thing. It's like there's no excuse for you to be human anymore. And it's like Sean said, I'm not excusing him. Definitely what he did was wrong. It's like people fall out. People say mean things. Do you know what I mean? These things happen.
Yeah. And the last thing as well that I would say, sorry, Kieran, is that I think for a lot of people, they've never experienced what it is to be a celebrity or in that environment. So, for instance, the way I was feeling on Monday, I wasn't having a good day on Monday. If I was at an award ceremony around hundreds of people with alcohol, drugs in my system, if I'm dealing with things like anxiety, depression, whatever, and then you get put into that scenario, I think a lot of people would wild out like that. They would go, they would have a moment like that. Do you know what I mean? I don't think it's like I think it's just because the general public are never going to be in an environment where they're having a bad day or they're having a bad mental day, that could possibly happen. Do you get what I mean?
No, yeah, definitely. But people are, they're not going to see it that way, because they're going to turn around and say, oh, well, you get paid loads of money, you're supposed to live this life. And that is an argument that always frustrates the hell out of me. Just because you got lots of money doesn't mean that you can't be depressed. You can't have mental issues. You can't suffer in life. Just when you have all that money, you could be like the loneliest person ever, but people don't realize that. and you could really be struggling. Oh, but you got loads of money, you'll be fine, you can sort yourself out. It's a load of nonsense, and people just don't realize that, and they're too quick and too easy to say, oh, that person's got a lot of money, he should know better, he should do this, he's fine. But for all we know, slowthai could have been battling some massive demons there, has to turn up into an award and has to do something, and then it's all come out. We don't know that, do we?
Yeah. Oh, imagine
when you listen to this,
imagine the reverse of that. He's been alone for the past 2, 3, 4 months, or just seeing the same people. So he's not really voicing these. Oh, how are you? Yeah, I'm all right. Not everyone has the same relationship with their friends where they could say, I'm not feeling so good, or do you know what I mean? Shit's a bit terrible. And all it takes is that one, like you said, Theo, that one small thing, and Sean's kind of touched on it as well. You take that one small thing, then you explode. And I don't know whether he really exploded, because like I said, I can't remember the situation properly, but it's like something triggered him. And then from there, it's like months and months, or, days and days of this energy is coming out. But yeah, Kieran was going to say something, and then we were kind of talking over it.
It links to, like, obviously situationally, like a lot of people would do that, but I feel like linking it to the album, when you listen to it, you're not surprised, like, this person could have, like, wilded out in that moment just with a bit of alcohol, because he's been through a lot of, like, dark stuff, and he shares it. Like, some of the stuff I don't even totally understand, but it's like, wow, what is he going through to say crazy stuff like this? But yeah, I think this album kind of helps explain, because like Theo was saying, people don't really give him the chance to, like, get to know him. And I think the first album didn't give me this perspective of him, but this one definitely, like, I feel like I know where he's at now, and it makes sense why that event happened, compared to, like, say you hear his debut, then you just see this wilding out moment. It's kind of like, what's this guy on, kind of thing. But I get it now.
Yeah, I agree,
most definitely.
So the album
TYRON. I think we should let Theo go first, seeing as he's the newest to the slowthai.
Okay, well, yeah, like Kieran said, in this album, you learn a lot more about slowthai and the experiences that he has definitely been going through, because there is just loads of different emotions and feelings that you get from this album. But starting off from the album, not going to lie to you, 45 Smoke, that kind of just, I'm not going to lie, man, that gassed me out. I had to, that literally, no word of a lie. Might have almost played that 45 times, just relap that thing every single time, man. Heard that, I was like, nope, reload that again. I'm like, it took me ages to get onto Cancelled, but that was a strong start for me. And it just flowed on. Cancelled, I think, which, again, we talk about the cancel culture. I think that's a brilliant response, but again, this is where it annoys me about the internet. People are saying that's like, why is he making the song cancelled for? Oh, yeah, why are you doing that? That's petty. No, he's sharing his experiences with you, like being cancelled in that moment, what it's feeling like literally, how are you going to cancel me on something like that? So I love that sort of response, even though it's not one of the strongest songs from the album. I love that he's showing that experience and he's giving that to us and where he was feeling at that sort of moment. And as you're moving, there's obviously, it's clear that there's two sides to the album.
I'd like to say stylistically as well, the fact that the first side is all in caps and the second side is all lowercase, it kind of speaks to, not like a bipolar aspect, because I don't want to put that on him, but it's like the first side of the album reads like a coherent story, as in, it's like he's on smoke, then he got cancelled, which was a madness, made him vex, then he's like lashing out.
Yeah, exactly.
And the dead part is like, playing with suicide, but it's also like the play with fire aspect is that, like, I can't remember what track was talking about what parts of the way he felt and all that, but it's definitely like the top section of the album was definitely more for me personally. Like I just vibed with that the most.
Interesting.
Yeah, interesting. Like you said, you couldn't explain that any better, Sam, really, because that first section really that was really, really good how you explained that. But personally, for me, I actually prefer the second half of the album more. Even though I really enjoyed the first half of the album, I was like, oh, this is good. The second half, that's where it was strong for me.
Do you know what it was with I mean, you can say it about the whole album, but do you know what it was for the first side for me? Is some of them tracks they just felt like they cut too soon. It was just too brief. I wanted more.
Oh, like what? Like what?
Yeah,
what would have been one of my favourite tracks if it was
likewise.
Yeah. But can I just to quickly come back to the cancel tune? I guess I'm doing my thing here of playing devil's advocate. But you see in the hook, where Skepta says, how you going to cancel me? Pyramid Stage at Glastonbury, all that. Yeah. Only thing is I was trying to figure out the sentiment of it. I was trying to figure out like what they're actually saying, and And part of me felt a little bit off where I was like, well, just because you've had all this success doesn't mean you can just do what you want. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Or am I going off?
Like, no, I hear that.
That's that Skepta mentality, though. That's the kind of thing Skepta would say, right?
Don't get me wrong. I'm not taking it that serious.
This is what I was saying. Like, we're forgetting these are rappers. These are rappers, innit? So realistically, when you're a rapper, yeah, surely you have this, as much as you can try, like, melt away the whole, like, oh, no, I'm just me. They have big egos. They have these big front. The whole idea of being a rapper is like, I think I'm the best. You can't tell me I'm not the best. And so, I mean, I take most of what rappers say with a pinch of salt. And with Skepta, I was taking it more like a tongue-in-cheek thing of it's like, how you gonna cancel me? You know what I mean? Like, as much as you care about that, I'm still gonna get booked to do these big shows regardless because people want to hear my music.
The thing is, the inherent message though of that song is actually positive, where it's like, don't care about people canceling you for no reason, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like you've been unjustly cancelled, just like flex with it, make a song about it because it's like it doesn't really matter.
Yeah. No, don't get me wrong. Like me personally, I felt like you said, Sam, tongue in cheek. I didn't take it that serious. But then a little part of me was like, I bet that's kind of what R. Kelly thought. Like, he was just untouchable. Kieran, what were your thoughts? So, like the first side.
The first side, like Theo said, it. I prefer the second, and the reason being is, I just don't like Vex and Dead at all. Like I actually I hate those songs a lot. I skip them. I don't. They're not my palette. They grind against me. I get the emotion of the story and the concept that he's gone with the album, but that's not listenable music to me. I don't even like how the flow gets like the whole tempo gets slow on Dead. Is it? But it's just like this is just boring now, and it's not palatable. So like I'm definitely not listening to this song ever again. I think I've only listened to that song once fully.
Okay. What about Mazza?
Mazayin.
What's Mazza? Oh, no. Do you know what? Yeah.
Kieran said, what's Mazza?
No. The first three songs are sick. I love those ones. I thought that was a really strong start.
Do you know what's funny about this album? None of this feels like an attempt at radio. They all feel like just genuine songs that have been made.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely.
But like Mazza could do quite well on radio because I think ASAP brings that commercial, like weird sound. It feels like... It almost feels like a TYRON Wax song, actually.
I think you said this before, yeah. No, I definitely hear what you're saying.
Do you hear that? It's a bit kiddie, isn't it?
The video for it was really good too. I liked the video for Mazza.
All of his visuals are mad.
Yeah, his visuals on Cancelled are mad.
They were out in the forest and killing things and stuff. And
have you seen it on Jimmy Fallon as well when they performed Cancelled?
No,
because that was trippy. Skepta got well into character for that, man.
Skepta apparently likes the acid, don't he? He said that a few times. He's kind of said like just him and A$AP Rocky did, I think, acid before they recorded their tunes.
But I feel like acid's dangerous, man. Acid's how you end up, doing things with your friends that you normally wouldn't think to do.
I think the difference though.
I don't have to go too far into that.
Yeah. Don't do acid. Do you know what the thing for me is with the first side and the second, and maybe again we've said this before about like being in lockdown and not being able to experience music in certain environments. But I think for one, if I'm sitting in my room, I'm not gonna be getting that. I'm not looking to get that gassed or hyped up. Do you know what I mean? No. And two, there's just more going on. There's more content in the second half. He's saying more. There's more substance.
There's better production as well.
Better production, and then just as a fan of slowthai, I think he's made better bangers throughout his career than most of that first side. I
feel like the first section of this album is realistically made to be performed live, and going from what you said, I don't think I'd ever want to see slowthai live because I feel like it'd be that touch too dangerous for me. It'd
be moshing, but like everywhere would be moshing.
But like not the fun moshing where it's like bit of elbows, bit of jumping.
No, just unnecessary violence.
Just punches swinging. Yeah. I'm not.
There'd be swinging arms everywhere.
Like
man.
I don't expect that with rap music. I expect that at like indie concerts, rock concerts, which I've been to, and I enjoy that type of stuff there because I'm prepared for it mentally. But with this, nah.
The thing is, though, the first half of this album doesn't actually have anything as moshy as like Doorman from his debut, which I think is like, that's proper moshing music. This album, I feel like 45 Smoke energy-wise hits that, but not even tempo.
True.
True.
Yeah, different.
That's very true. Yeah.
It's just like aggressive, but also kind of chill in a weird way. It's like it grates me. It's a bit like.
Go ahead, Sam. Sorry.
I was gonna say. I mean, for me, the first half of the album, right, comes into a place where it's like, okay, this is how he feels sometimes, and then the second half is like, this is how he feels the rest of the time. So it's like everybody has these types of moods. Maybe they're not as extreme as the first side, or as extreme as the second side, but everyone has that duality within them, and it's it's an interesting thing to have done with an album.
There were some little stand-up. Sorry,
does it work? Is what I was wondering.
Sorry, what works?
The two halves. Splitting it like that.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you this as well, actually. Yeah. Sorry, you go first, Fitio, and I'll say what I think.
It's a tough one, really, because at first I thought it does work, but if anyone was to question it, I can understand where their point is coming from. But I think, like, because my perception of this album has changed over, especially the last few times of listening to it, and it's interesting. At first I thought it definitely did work, because it's like, I don't know, you can you got the first side of how he's feeling, like Sam said, some of the time, and then you've got the other side, and the two together marry up and they work. But after listening to it more and more and more, I don't know, he could have done something slightly different. He could even release just one half of it just as a single project, and then the other as a single project. And that's been a topic in my mind of thinking, could he have done that? And I'm not sure, to be honest with you. I don't actually know the answer to it, but my mind has changed.
But making this a double disc, right? I don't know what it's like in a physical form, but definitely on a streaming service, I didn't even know it was a double disc. Do you know what I mean? It just played through. So it's like, to do this, I guess it's geared towards the physical side of things, and maybe like one cover or like on the CD they might print the artwork. Maybe one artwork is different to the other artwork, but like I said, I haven't seen it to know the significance of the double disc.
See, I think it was fine, but it wasn't necessary, if that makes sense. So like, I get why he did it, but I think with an album this short, double disc maybe wasn't needed, and maybe the album would have benefited from kind of being, for the themes and the sort of vibes to be merged together, and it'd be more of a sort of up and down experience. I don't know.
Isn't the album only about 30 minutes long?
Yeah, it's like 35 minutes. It's short.
Yeah, because now I'm looking at it, I'm seeing 14 tracks. That did not feel like 14 tracks when I was listening to it.
Yeah.
I don't really like it, to be honest, the split. That's why I asked, because I feel like I like albums personally that are journeys. And I feel like, okay, that's a preference, but then it's like, okay, I don't like it, but is it good? But I think it's lazy what he's done, because it's like, I've made songs in this vibe. I've made songs in this vibe because I'm just feeling down here and I'm feeling energetic here. He hasn't thought like, oh, let's tell a story that tells a journey. I feel like the only journey moment is Played with Fire's kind of emotional, like downbeat-ish on the up-tempo side. So it's like, that's the transitional moment. And I think like subject-wise, like the stuff he says throughout the album, as it goes, it kind of makes more sense as it keeps going along. But I feel like there's no musical journey. It's just like, I'm feeling all this way here, and I'm feeling all this way here. And like, the only thing that helped me get from there to there is Played with Fire. Like, there was no other like character progression moment or anything like that.
True. But also, I'd like to say that with his first album, where he did the double disc, it was more like the double disc had songs that already come out.
Yeah, it was a bonus disc.
So it made more sense. But now it's like, I've done the double disc thing again, but it's not the same vibe. It's like, these are two different projects. Like Theo said, it's two completely different things.
But to like, just to kind of clarify, I liked the first side. I just really liked the second side. If that makes sense. I didn't think it was bad at all. There were standout moments, like did anyone pick up the little Fuji's line in Skepta's verse?
Oh yeah, that was nice.
Nice. Stuff like that. And then Mazza had a bit more going on. There was a bit more substance to it. Like he actually says something kind of wild. He says, feeling like these drugs made me better than I was, but I never felt love before the drugs. That's like, what? What? Yeah. How could you feel that way? It's just stuff like that. Is like, it cuts kind of deep. But then, like you say, Vex and what could have been special, but it was just far too short.
I don't know why he cut that.
I don't, because the problem is you get to what, and I'm just in a vibe. I'm like, yes, and then it's just over it, and you're like, Really?
But isn't that like
it's one of the best songs?
Isn't that like kind of in the title of like, you know, like when someone said like what? It's a
very
short, jerky kind of thing of like what? So that's what this is. It's kind of like a kind of jab and then it's gone.
Yeah. The one thing I'll give him is I think he was trying to convey a sense of well, look, the first half of the album is aggressive, it's ignorant, it's kind of mad, and it definitely sounds that way. Like if he's going through this crazy sort of time in his head, that the first side of the album does convey that. So I'll give that to him. And then, like you said, I reckon what was it called? Play with Fire, or just Fire. That was probably the best.
Play with Fire, yeah.
That was probably the best track on the first side, and also it was a good transition to the second, and that's what made it I think feel like that a continuous album rather than like two distinct sides, because it just kind of flowed nicely into the next track, which to me was I know we're sort of skipping into side B, but I Tried is
that's amazing, isn't it?
It's great tune, man. What a tune! That kind of reminded me a little bit of like a hint of old Kanye. With the kind of soulful, high-pitched, soulful production style. It wasn't at all, but I just got the vibe from it where I was like, oh, this is a little bit Kanye-ish, but damn, that was a heavy track as well. Heavy track. The stuff he's saying in that. He's actually, this is a thing as well, slowthai gets a lot of credit for his energy and for his flow and things like that, but his pen is actually really good. Like he's actually a really good songwriter. Really good.
You know, on the next track, Focus, did anyone notice James Blake's backing vocals on that?
No.
It's sick.
I thought it was a sample. I thought it was a sample or something.
No, I was thinking like, I swear this is like that James Blake like chipmunk voice, and then I checked and he did some backing vocals.
I didn't realise that. Oh, good spot there. I thought
So do you think those songs with James Blake and Mount Kimby came out of a James Blake session? Because you know slowthai's on a James Blake song.
Yeah, probably. James Blake's got bars too.
Oh,
he says, I leave a dent in my car to remind me of what I could have lost.
Yeah.
Bars. I love that. But yeah, I Tried is incredible, man. Incredible. He said something on there and I was like, oh shit, I actually feel quite sad for you right now. He said, we feel cracks of broken homes with broken dreams and broken bones. If walls could scream, ears would bleed. You've got to keep them clean. Could say it's dread, but I guess it's just what many need. I can't even relate to that though. That's so dark. I don't know what he went through, but
it literally paints like a very graphic picture of what his surroundings were like. Yeah, and it's really unsettling. Which is one thing I want to say about slowthai is, right? You know, with the whole horrorcore aspect of things that Eminem gets into and Tyler gets into, he gets into this, but it's like the lyrics aren't saying it explicitly. But if you were to do visuals for it, it does.
Yeah, absolutely. It's funny you say horror. Going back to the first side, there's that bit in Cancelled where it's like an old style horror film just before one of the verses, like that. I don't know what noise it is, but it's really cool, that bit. We're not asking about the next track.
Bitch, I'm back out my coma.
The next track, Terms.
We skipped Focus though. Skip Focus, man.
Have I skipped Focus?
Yeah, I'm looking and thinking I like Focus. So what the fuck?
Yeah, exactly.
About,
oh wait, I thought Kieran.
I feel like we kind of covered it.
Oh
yeah.
Sorry,
it was one of my favorite beats. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Kieran's done with that one. Yeah.
Oh,
well, Focus. It was one of my favorite beats, but I felt again like a lot of it was just a bit brief. It just kind of, I don't know. I wanted more from it, but
okay. No, I would have been bored if it was longer.
Oh really?
That's why you didn't want to discuss Focus. Okay, on to Terms.
Not like Focus. Okay.
On to Terms.
On to the next one then.
Terms, I don't feel. Terms now I'm fine with, but at the time it was my the most disappointing track on the album because
there's no.
I accidentally saw the feature because I'm trying to not do that. I'm trying to not look at the track list. I saw Denzel Curry.
Yeah.
I thought I need that Denzel Curry verse, and that verse never came.
Where is
the first 3 or 4 listens to this
album?
I'm
still waiting for it. I still listen to it, waiting for it to come. Like I've missed it.
I'm not sure yet, but is Dominic Fike American then?
Canadian, I think.
Okay,
I've never heard of him.
Because I was like, this doesn't sound like Denzel Curry. Then I'm like, whoa, the song's over. So,
I had to search where Denzel Curry was. He's on the bridge. I was
doing what? Chopped and screwed bit. I think. Yeah.
That don't count.
I know.
Yeah,
that's
now
what I mean.
I'm fine with
count
it
as a feature, but well,
I know
it
it
does, but I mean, you
I'm
might
okay with
be
it
fine
now.
with it. I'm not.
That's like when Timbaland
No,
said he
no.
features when he
I
just makes that
came to
sound.
terms with it. Do you know what I mean? I came to terms with it.
Oh, nice one. See what? Yeah. Thinking he can do that slyly.
Oh man. And then Push. I feel like Kieran, that's a track that you would like.
No, I definitely love that one. That's one of my favorites.
I thought so. And do you know what that one reminded me of just a little bit, was the Phoebe Bridger track on Cuddy's album. Again, don't ask me to tell you why in depth, but I just immediately thought of that song.
I think it's just that moment when he's being like brutally honest, like he's not like meandering around being emotional in this side. Like this is like him saying now, yeah, this is that deep album. I'm gonna give you a good chorus that makes you feel some type of way. And then
nice guitar. Yeah. NHS. One of the best singles.
That was a really hot single. One of his best songs, I think.
And that I feel like that might go down as one of his standout tracks. Like when people look at slowthai in 10, 15 years' time, I think that will be one of the ones that makes the lists and gets spoken about.
Is it dedicated to the NHS? Like I always get confused. Like how does this song relate at the end when he's like, "This is what..."
It's literally just about the clap for the NHS line that he's proper just dragged the title out.
Or is it the subject matter as well? Because he's saying like, you know how it's like this or that, and it's like how some people can take the NHS for granted. You could tie the whole song in towards the NHS. I know he only mentions the NHS in the middle, but it's actually when you actually listen to the whole song, you could tie everything to the NHS. People take the NHS for granted. We're now going for coronavirus. They're doing a massive job. Yeah, this is where it is. So you could actually tie it, because I was thinking that. Then when you actually deep it. Yeah,
this is one of the first times in a kind of UK album where I've had a moment where I was like, "Oh, this is very creative." You know, when he's asking all these questions in his verses of, like, what's a feather to a mattress? What's a punto to a bimmer? Yeah. And then the second verse, he does it for like the whole entire verse, which I didn't really clock until just now. And it's like, that's something, because you don't just freestyle that. You sit down and you think about that.
No, the question. I think like the questions he's asking on that, I can't even like deep without reading them, because then he's asking really complex questions. They're not like simple ones you just think about. Like he's really like sat and thought.
But it's like it's an abuse cycle too, because it's like, if anyone's seen Rick and Morty, it's like Rick without Morty. It's like Rick abuses Morty, but without Morty, he's nothing. Lil Wayne without codeine, not gonna get the same music, but it's like Lil Wayne nearly died off the codeine. Yeah. Do you know what I mean?
The theme is duality, isn't it? That's what it is, I think. It's the, the good and bad and that. And the lines for me that kind of, it's an important message, I think, as well, and that resonated with me, was he says, "Good with a bad, I'm happy being sad. Say less, why you stressed? Thinking about what's next gonna make you depressed. All the best shit's got scratches on the surface. What's a flight without turbulence?" And he goes on. But it's true. It's like sometimes you get into that mindset where you've had a load of shit happen to you, and then things quieten down, but then you start thinking, well, when's the next bad thing gonna happen? And it's like, you shouldn't really think like that, because nothing's perfect. Not all the great things in life, or say that, let's relate it to like some of the greatest musicians or the greatest sportsmen or whatever. It wasn't easy for them. They had to fail to get to where they came, to where they ended up being. And I just think it's an important message, man. It's a very, very, very good song.
And again, what you just said there, again, you could tie it to the NHS. The NHS is not perfect, but without it, where will we be in this country? And that's the genius of the song. That's where you can tie the whole message to the NHS. And that's the beauty of the song. Is when I thought about it like that, that's like, oh wow, that's actually really creative. That's really, really special, actually. Because when I first listened to it, I was thinking, what's this got to do with the NHS? Then I actually listened and like followed the lyrics and listened to it deeply, and then understood. And it's actually really, really clever what he's done.
Yeah. And Feel Away. Feel Away is another one. Beautiful. But do you know what? That's one that I'm still trying to figure out, because, by the way, the video for that is incredible. Have you seen the video?
Didn't know there were so many videos for this. I've only seen the videos for the first side.
The video is insane. But the thing for me is do you know the song's dedicated to his?
Yeah, it's dedicated to his brother, but I can't get the link though. I've been trying I've really tried to listen to it and understand the link.
I think he had a baby brother that passed away at like 1 or something like that.
Okay.
Something like that. I don't want to mess it up because it's really dark.
He had some sort of condition.
I'm not going to try and say that.
But I've really tried to understand where that song fits, because it is dedicated to his younger brother, and I can't make that link yet.
Because to me, I don't know. Tell me if you think I'm wrong. To me, it sounds like it's a song about a relationship.
but that's what's, I agree with you.
But then you watch the video and there's the whole giving birth bit.
I've to be honest, I'm not sat with the whole video. I've seen clips of it because it's related. It's like, I've seen clips. I need to sit and watch the whole video properly, actually.
But it's like he takes his woman to go into labor, but then he ends up in the bed giving birth, and then she's there with, like, she's at, like, getting a bit like, flirty with a doctor, and there's all this mad stuff going on. Then the baby is a cake. It's like, it's so wild, man. It's so wild. But I'm like, Theo, I'm trying to figure out like how it's a dedication, but
it could be one of those afterthought things where you just say, yeah, it's dedicated to my brother, because I don't see the link at all. I thought it was about a relationship.
I guess it's kind of like him making that song helped him just release that emotion, even if he's not like lyrically speaking. That release, like he's just like feeling away that pain that he had from losing.
Yeah. And like we mentioned it, we touched on it briefly, but James Blake, man,
amazing.
Yeah, he's phenomenal.
I love that.
So good. And then I like Mount Kimby. Do any of you also listen to Mount Kimby?
A little bit.
I think I listened to their first album because you've not forced me to, but you kind of flung it my way.
you pushed them a lot.
No. Sean flung it my way once. We were chilling at his, and he was like, "Yo, listen to this." I was like, "This isn't bad." But past that, no, I haven't really kept up with. Is it a group or is it a person?
It's a group. Well,
it's a duo, right?
Think. Yeah.
I thought Mount Kimby was a black guy, but turns out it's just two white dudes. So
no, they come from the sort of dance electronic world, but they've collaborated with a few different artists like King Crawl and Slowthai, James Blake. Yeah, they're interesting, and they haven't dropped an album in a while, so hopefully they do this year. And then the ending. What did you lot think of ADHD? I fucking loved it, but
I love that song.
It's one of my favorite songs on the album. ADHD. I'm not gonna lie to you. Songs,
didn't really land.
It's an amazing ending.
For me, when I say it didn't really land, it was like, oh, this is how you've ended the album. I know you guys said it's a great ending, but for me, I was just a bit like,
were you expecting like a bang at the end?
Something not climactic, but definitely something that kind of tied everything in together. I don't know if it felt like it tied in both sides for you guys. But then
I get what you mean. I didn't think like the story's over when I heard ADHD.
Nah, yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, I agree. Definitely agree.
It goes back to what Sean said about if the album was better, not mixed, but as in intermingled and told a story. Maybe I would have felt like ADHD makes a good ending, but for me, it's just kind of like, oh, okay, because after that, he just started playing like songs that come after, other slowthai songs. I was like, oh, this is the end of the album. Then I was like,
I guess it's because this is quite an autobiographical album, and like his life's obviously not over, his story's not over, so it's like it doesn't make sense to conclude his story, but that doesn't serve the purpose for a good listening experience in the sequence.
Do you know what? I interpreted it differently. I one of you mentioned something about like kind of being in a cycle with a mental state. I can't remember who said it. The way it ended for me, I felt like I could have easily just went back into 45 Smoke. Just straight back into that vibe. Because it felt like at the end of that track, he's shouting, he's like back in that scatty, aggressive, like chaotic mind state, and then bang, 45 Smoke. So it's like going in that cycle. That's the way I interpreted it. But
that's making sense.
Yeah,
that's an interesting take. Actually, I never thought of it like that way.
But I guess with endings comes beginnings. Then, so what's next for Slowthai? I feel like his next album's going to be a high. If he makes it through his issues and whatever it gets to where he needs to get to mentally, could be an amazing piece of work.
I think he'll probably do a higher profile album next, like bigger features, because this was big features, but he's got that attention. Like I know Brockhampton like him. I see them tweeting a few times.
I'm not even saying about in feature wise. I mean, like, as in maybe we will get that cohesive body of work type vibe, because Nothing Great About Britain kind of had that elements of cohesive types, a cohesive type of work. But this was kind of like not a passion piece, but you know what I mean. It was like a very emotive piece. So then when the two come together, that he's
got it in him.
Yeah, definitely. That should and could be the next album. Something that would be classic status maybe.
Yeah, I think for me, because he's always been introspective and he's always spoken about his life and his upbringing and whatnot, I'm at this point where I'm like, what more can you say? So it's like, for me, it's like I kind of want him to go away for a little while, live a bit of life, and come back with either new experiences or have a go at something really sort of conceptual. That's kind of what I want to see.
Because like I said,
he's a great writer, and I think he could really do something. And like I said about Nothing Great About Britain, it was very much, there were political, socio-economic themes throughout and whatnot. But it was still very personal too. Like something like Northampton's Child, a very personal track. So yeah, maybe just like, and I don't mean it in a rude way. I mean just like, you know, take a few years out, you know, live some life, do some touring, and then come back with something.
Yeah, because you could bring fresh new ideas to the table. Like, I know what you mean.
Yeah, because I don't know if I want another Nothing Great About Britain or TYRON. Like, they're great. They're going to be great pieces within his discography, but I feel like, I don't know, maybe something new.
You want to see progression, basically.
Yeah, because that's the thing with this. It's like, I wouldn't say I wouldn't say this was a step down from the first album, but I didn't.
There's no concept.
He didn't step up. If it was progression.
There's no concept. Yeah. Definitely. That's what I was saying. This is more of an emotive piece. Like, he felt like he had to get this out.
Yeah.
And especially to drop this in a time like now where there's no way to perform it live. There's no way to really, do you know what I mean? Like, what's it called? You know, perform and feel out this album. I guess it's the perfect time to drop it, because if he dropped this and tried to tour this album, what does that really look like? You know, does that look good? Does that look interesting? Probably not. So I'm thinking maybe, I don't know, maybe he's kind of banking on the fact that this album can kind of come out, fans will listen to it, and then it can go away. And by this time next year, he could have dropped something else or dropped a few more singles and whatever that will kind of bolster up his future in music, or his kind of future plans.
Yeah, I feel like some hot singles would probably do him good, but like Sean said, maybe not an album for a little while.
Yeah, just sit and get rest. Yeah, take some time, just assess yourself. Like you said, like Sean said, live your life and get new ideas, get fresh ideas, so that you can come back and make a complete. I'm not saying this is not complete, but like a complete, a cohesive body of work. Just because it's there and you know slowthai can do it, so I just think he needs to go away and then just it will come together.
Right,
potential.
Top threes, fave 3 tracks, please.
For me, Focus, ADHD, and I Tried.
All second siders. Okay.
Yep.
Wow. Kieran?
Mazza, Push, and Feel Away.
Okay. I had Fire and I Tried. I like them two just next to each other as well. And I'll say ADHD because I've had NHS a while. I'll try and avoid the singles. So Fire, I Tried, ADHD. That's my 3.
Mine's Vex, Played with Fire, and I Tried.
I Tried is going to be on my end of year playlist. I think it's going to stay.
I haven't put any of this on my playlist.
Yeah,
really?
That's true.
Because it's so short. If I'm going to listen to it, realistically, I'm just going to play the whole thing. Like for now, anyways. But I haven't taken any of it off yet.
Did you get the Chuckles reference on I Tried, Sean?
Yes, I did. Yeah, and it was it wasn't very subtle, but the little bit at the beginning about being Sunday League, but I'm Ronaldo.
Yeah, Ronaldo.
Yeah. There were lots of good lines in this. So, what about scores, Theo? What was your score?
Well, I think it's a solid piece of work, so I'm going to rate it an 8 out of 10. So it's solid. It's good body of work. Didn't blow me away, but still solid all the same. So yeah, a solid 8 for me.
Nice.
Kieran, what about you?
Oh wait.
I did
fucked up my job.
I gave it 7.9. I felt like there was really high heights, but there was like some low lows and middling stuff as well. So
fair enough. I'm also an 8. I almost gave it 7.9 because I was a little bit butthurt about the whole Denzel Curry thing, but I'm over it. It's an 8. It scrapes an 8.
For me, 7.6. Just because it's good. It's not great, but it's good. And it's like Kieran said, the highs are high, the lows are low, so it's like a middle of the road type thing. It could have been an 8. But I'm really harsh sometimes on things. Like if I don't love something, I can't give it above a certain score in my head.
It's a 7.9.
That's the same as the Metacritic score, actually.
Woo! Sean working at The Guardian. Make sure you email Sean. Make sure you email Sean at theguardian.com to get all your music heard, guys.
Could you imagine an article comes out in a couple years' time, like these random emails have been sent through to this email address. Like there is a Sean at The Guardian getting all these emails. It'd be crazy.
That'd be funny. This is the Grey Area Podcast, talking all things rap and hip hop from the UK to across the pond. The facts are black and white, but our opinions are somewhere in the middle. We're about the music, not the gossip. Positive more than negative. Quality over quantity. Substance is worth more than